All right, so if we were solving the first two, right, I would say we would do PEMDAS for the first one, right? We would do 3 plus 4 first and get 7. Then we do 5 minus 7 and get negative 2. Okay, so this just kind of tells us what operation to do first. Okay, what operation to do first. Whereas in this one, because there's an x here and because it's parentheses next to a number, this tells us that we are going to distribute or do that rainbow. So 3 times x is 3x. Bring down my plus sign. 3 plus 2 is 6. And that's my answer. So this tells us to distribute. Okay? So we are going to go back to what these two are with our exponent rules. So kind of keep those in mind. So it says, expand smiley face to the third power. So what would that mean? 3 smiley faces. 1, 2, 3. Now, if 1 smiley face equals x squared, if 1 smiley face equals x squared, so instead of having a smiley face to the third power, we would have x squared raised to the third power. Okay? So all this means is that we'd have x squared times x squared times x squared. Okay? And then from what we just looked at, right, you could either expand this to be 6x's, and you could end up with x to the 6th, or you could just keep your base and add your exponents. Okay? So looking at this first one, it's very similar, right? 2 to the second, all to the third power. So that means there are 3 2 squareds, and then they just break it apart, right? This come from these two, then you have these two, and then you have these two. Okay, and then they put them together and get 2 to the 6th. So if you look at the next one, we have 5 to the 3rd, all raised to the 4th power. So 5 to the 3rd times 5 to the 3rd times 5 to the 3rd times 5 to the 3rd. So that would be, right, 3 5s times 3 5s times 3 5s times 3 5s. And then we would write our final answer, which is 5 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? Now this one's hard, right? It gives us the repeated multiplication, and we have to write what that is. So it says x to the 6th. So that would be inside the parentheses. How many of them are there? 4. Okay? Just like before, this would be a heck of a lot to write here, right? So I'm just going to leave that blank. If you want to fill it out, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just going to add my exponents. So I'm going to keep my base, and 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 is 18, plus 6 is 24. This one's a little bit harder, right? I'm gonna write this one out. So 3 to the 5th, y to the 2nd, times 3 to the 5th, y to the 2nd, times 3 to the 5th, y to the 2nd. Okay? For the repeated multiplication, I'm going to split this up and put the y's together and the 3's together. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 to the 5th times 3 to the 5th times 3 to the 5th. So I just put these 3 to the 5ths closer together to make my life a little bit easier. And then I'm going to do the same with the y squareds. So in my answer, I will have 3, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15, y squared, so y will be my base, 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Okay? That one's a little bit harder, and that's perfectly fine. Okay? So now, in this one, we are actually going to go over a few more examples here in a minute. So don't worry if that one doesn't make sense. So now what I want you to do is this bottom part. It should be very similar to these first three. Again, if you want to break it apart like they did here, that's perfectly fine. If you want to just break it apart to this part and then add your exponents, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable is fine.